You know, when Jake McCabe first came to the Leafs, I actually really liked the deal, obviously, first off, because he was under such a reasonable cap hit because the Blackhawks retained salary. And I would argue he's underpaid. Now, when he first started out with the Leafs, he was a little shaky. Like, sometimes Jake McCabe has the... He can play almost overly aggressive, if you understand what I mean. Like, sometimes, like, I love the hits, by the way. I'm never going to complain about that. But sometimes he hits himself out of position. Like, positioning is one of the most important things as a defenseman, especially on the rush. Being in proper position, throwing a hit can get you right out of the way and, can be difficult. But last year, he was, in my opinion, one of the Maple Leafs' most consistent and best defensemen. And now it is confirmed that the Maple Leafs are in contract negotiations with Jake McCabe. I think that this is generally very good news. Now, that's my take, but I always like to look at both sides of this. So what are the criticisms, right? And then what are the positives? The criticism of this might be the biggest thing that I can look at is easily the fact that the Leafs blue line is old. I mean, I can't even, how can you even debate that at this point? You got OEL, you got Tanev, you got Hakanpää basically on one leg, and he's like 32, and now you're signing McCabe. Now, the good thing about McCabe is in recent history in the NHL, he has been very, very healthy, right? He played 70-plus games last year. He was really, really good for them. And the McCabe and Benoit pairing was even better. It was really, really good for the Leafs. Honestly, surprisingly good. Because when I remember watching that pairing, I was like, I don't really think this will work, because I typically like to have a little bit more of a puck mover. I wouldn't necessarily call Jake McCabe a puck mover, and although he can move around all right, but I just wouldn't necessarily list him as that. I would love to see him playing with Timothy Liljegren next year. I really want Liljegren to get a chance, and I am also, now I know some people might say what I'm going to say is overrated. I think that handedness matters for defensemen. I think that the right-left handedness absolutely matters. So I would like to see him on his left side and then Timothy Liljegren on his proper side, right side. Now, when it comes down to what the possible contract that the Toronto Maple Leafs will sign with him, that becomes a little bit more difficult. I do wonder about length of the contract. This is going to be one of the most, this is where it gets worrisome, where a player that is turning 31, by the way, depends on what does he want, how many years does he want, because players like that generally are going to want security. Now, what I would point to is Esa Lindell that just signed in Dallas. He has 5.25. I believe it was past 5 years, something like that. That is a reasonable... I'll put the information up on the screen. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm willing to sign players up until, 35. That's fine, although we probably know that he is definitely going to slow down at that point. But that is reasonable. You have to give the player the reason to sign with the Maple Leafs. Now, the good news about it is, in this article, when he was questioned by reporters, he seems to really, really like it in Toronto, and that's what you want. You want guys that want to be in Toronto. It makes sense, right? But it is true, though, that there looks like there is ongoing negotiations on multiple different fronts in Toronto right now, which is, I guess I would say, surprising. I didn't know that this would happen this quickly. So we got Mitch Marner, his agent is all but confirming they have discussion between him and his agent. Mitch Marner didn't say anything, and in fact, he wanted to completely avoid the conversation. But it is absolutely true that now they're talking with McCabe as well, who, by the way, he was deployed as a 20-minute defenseman. I actually personally think McCabe can play a little bit more than that. I don't think that's that outrageous that he could play 21 and a half minutes. You gotta love his physicality, though. Man, Jake McCabe will throw some checks that My lord, like, there really, sometimes you watch a hit and it makes you laugh because it was just so funny. Like that Jake McCabe will throw some hits like that where a guy will just get like flung in the air or something like that. I mean, whatever, call me a Neanderthal, but I think that was, I think when he does it, it's pretty funny. But either way, I am going to leave this video there. If you could like, comment, and subscribe, I would really appreciate that. And have a great day, guys. Bye.